everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video where I go through and budget my paycheck with you guys. If you're new here, my name is Allison. I'm 28 years old. I work full-time in healthcare, but I also post content on the side. I post a lot of content about my personal finances, debt payoff journey, and just lifestyle content as well. So if any of that is interesting to you, feel free to like and subscribe, follow along, and welcome to my channel. As usual, I'm going to be sharing with you guys exactly how I budget my paycheck. I get paid bi-weekly, so every other Friday, and I'm an hourly employee. My pay varies just slightly depending on exactly how much I work, if I work any overtime. Sometimes I work a little bit less than 40 hours and that can affect my pay, so I will go through literally all of the nitty-gritty, all of my bills and expenses that I have and everything like that. I just want to quickly show you guys the template that I use when I do more of like my monthly expenses. I don't totally use this when I'm budgeting my paychecks, but it does help me at the beginning of the month when I create this budget to go through the expense section and see what kind of budget that I gave myself for the month. That helps me go through and budget what I would need for each paycheck, if that makes sense. The template that I use is the Ultimate Budgeting Template by Coplenty, and I'll have that linked down below. I do have a discount code with them and it will save you 10%. So if you like this budget template, check it out. I think it's worth the purchase. It's been helping me a lot lately. So up here in this section, I'll put any of my income. I do put my projected income at first when I'm making the budget, and then once I get paid, I adjust it a little bit, but at least when I'm making the budget, I can have a general idea of what is going to be coming in and what I can spend going out. Then I can also set sort of like goals for paying off my debt as well as savings, and then see where that breaks down into my paychecks, if that makes sense. So anyway, this is the template that I use, but I only really kind of add to this when I make purchases during the month in the section down below where I keep track of the transactions. So I'm gonna set that aside for now because what I actually really use to create my budget is really just the notes app on my phone, which I don't know if people might find that like old school, but it helps me a lot seeing it written out this way, and I can always I usually copy and paste the template to the next month and then adjust like as needed. But for me, it works really well. That way I know what subscriptions are gonna be in each paycheck, how I'm breaking up my rent, how I'm breaking up my car payment. I'll insert a little screenshot of like sort of what I do in my notes app because I feel like that can be helpful. This paycheck is for October 4th, and then obviously it's for the previous 2 weeks of work, but my income for this pay period was $2,311, and then I had $39.56 left over from my previous paycheck. So basically like what you'll see at the end of this is I have, after I budget everything, obviously I leave myself with a little bit of wiggle room and a budget for the next 2 weeks for anything that might come up. But if I don't spend that money, it rolls over into my next pay period, so I can figure out like, do I want to put that towards debt? Do I want to save that? Do I want to invest it? Obviously right now my main goal is to pay off my debt, so that is what I tend to choose to do with it. But that brings my total to budget with to $2,351. I usually start out with the things that are pretty standard and are gonna be across the board every single month, fixed expenses basically. So I do have to save for my rent, obviously. I need a place to live and I need to pay my bills. So I split my rent between the two paychecks. I do $400 from my first paycheck and then $450 from my second paycheck. So this is the first paycheck of the month, so I save $400 towards my rent. Into my emergency fund, I only put $50. That's kind of what I've been standard doing these last couple months, just because I'm still trying to save at least a little bit because I had to take money out of that to fix my car a few months ago, and I'm trying to build that back up just a little in case something happens while I'm trying to pay off my debt. Some people would say to like stop contributing completely, but like I don't feel comfortable not at least putting a little bit of money in there every single paycheck. God forbid something were to come up, I could pay for it. And that is in a high yield savings account, so it is getting I think 4.5% interest every month. And then into our joint savings account, me and my husband have one joint savings account in a high yield savings account, and this is for our house saving fund. Everyone has their opinions on that. I know a lot of people in my last like short form video when I was going over like my full net worth update, people get very, very frustrated when they see that I have like money in savings and I'm not paying off my debt. But it's just like not that simple. They're like, oh, just pay off the debt. Like, it really isn't that simple, because the shared money isn't just necessarily my money to make the decision with. It is our money at this point, and we decided like whatever money we got back from the wedding, we were gonna save. And then also in general, it's not, we're saying it's for the house because that's probably what it's gonna be for, but it's also just a joint savings account for us to be saving money every single month. God forbid our dryer broke, we would need a new dryer. So like that is just our savings account. We say it's for a house because that's what we want to save it for, but it's also just a savings account that we both have for anything that we would need for the two of us. So I hope that helps a little bit, like clarify why I'm not using that money to pay off my credit card. There's different ways to look at finances, and that's really truly what a lot of people who post finance content are trying to share with everyone. I actually just watched Carter Sullivan's latest monthly budget video, and I feel like something she said that resonated with me was that people who post about their personal finances, it's very vulnerable and it's a very hard niche, because you want to share everything, but at the same time, like you're always gonna have people judging you or saying like you could do this better, you could do that different. Yes, like obviously I'm sharing this to be talked about and people are gonna talk about it. At the same time, it's more just for transparency and also maybe helping other people who might be in a similar situation. I'm not giving advice, like I'm not a financial expert or anything. I'm just sharing like what's working for me and what I'm deciding to do with my finances in order to like reach my goals in a certain way. Like it's your decision, it's your money, it's what you want to do. So sorry, I always kind of go on little rants like that, like every video, but I feel like it's needed to say, because I'm not ignorant to the fact that I could be doing things differently, doing what I feel is good for my situation, my relationship, my sense of safety around money, and like having options and not like having no savings or no liquid money to be able to do something with if like God forbid anything came up. And then I put $125 into our grocery account, and that is just standard. Again, we both put money into this account. It's just a regular checking account, but it's separate from our other account. This is our first combined account. We still don't know what we're gonna do with our finances in the future. We are married now, but like it's been a few months, and honestly we're just fully combining our finances seems very stressful, because like we have a system and it works for us, so we don't know exactly what we're gonna do yet. But the one thing that we did do was at least make one combined account, one combined savings account and one combined checking account. So we could honestly just like make that work for us, and if we want to put more into this checking account and use it for bills and whatever, we could do that. I think what we have is working. This checking account is obviously for things that we both use, you know what I mean, like things around the house, groceries, paper towels, toilet paper, cleaning supplies. That's what this account is for. Sometimes things for the cats if we need it at the store. That's been working good for us, because then like the rest of our finances like technically aren't really combined. Like we both have our own car, we have our own insurance, we have our own credit card situation that we're dealing with. So we just found like something that will work for us for the time being. And it's been working actually awesome, to stop being like, oh, like I'll get groceries this time, you get groceries next time kind of thing. I have to pay my car insurance, and that is $172.08, which is very high, I am aware, and I'm pretty sure it's because I do drive a lot for work, and you know, I had to enter my mileage to get the quote, and I didn't want to not tell the truth, because God forbid something happens and then they're like, oh, like it seems like you're driving a lot more. Or I'd rather just pay the money and have the protection on my car, because again, I do drive a lot, so something is bound to happen. Like, for example, a couple months ago, a deer ran out and like slammed into the side of my car, so I had to get that fixed, and I had a pretty good experience with my insurance and I had good coverage, so I'm not that upset about paying this much. It is a lot. I think it's worth it for now. Again, I'm very open about this on my channel, but I am trying to find a remote job eventually, and when that becomes the case, I will obviously re-evaluate my car insurance situation and hopefully lower that quite a bit, because my mileage would be a lot lower. I would be at way less risk of something happening to my car, so we'll see what happens there, but for now I'm content with that. I know it is pretty high, but it is what it is. And then I also pay our internet bill. So again, with me and my husband, we kind of split the bills semi-equally. I make more than him, so I do pay for more of the overall bills than him, which I'm totally fine with, because that seems fair to me. Like, I really don't care, and like, I'm not gonna have him struggling to pay the half of the bills when like I could pay half the bill, like more than half the bills. It works out that he pays a lot of the utilities, like the electric, the gas, and he pays our phone bill. And then I pay the rent, because our rent really isn't that expensive, and I pay the internet. So our internet bill is $50.90. Which is awesome. I also will take a look at the next 2 weeks, any subscriptions that are gonna be coming out, and I have 3 during the next 2 weeks. So the first one is my Aura Ring subscription, and that is $6.35. Netflix is $15.49, and then Planet Fitness is $10. So total subscriptions is $31.81. Which is not too bad. The next thing is my car payment. So what I've been doing recently, and I feel like it's helping. I'm not looking at the numbers too much just yet, because again, I'm really focusing on my credit cards right now, but I do obviously still have to make my car payment every month. And what's been working for me is just pretending that my car payment is $400, because it's $332. I always want to pay a little bit more, and then if I make it an even $400, I can split it and do $200 from each paycheck. So I did pay $200 towards my car loan. It's nice to kind of see that balance go down every 2 weeks too, and then it helps overall with saving on interest as well. Then I had to renew my membership for my professional license for work, which is super annoying. I hate the little expenses for like healthcare workers or like teachers even. Like, I am a medical like tech, and I'm sorry I don't share like what specifically I do. Like, I'm sure if you did digging on me, you could figure it out, but I just try to keep it as separate as possible, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, I am a medical like tech, and you have to have a license for it, and then you have to be a part of like the professional organization, and that costs money, and then you have to get CEUs every year, and that costs money. It's actually crazy. Oh, and then you need a state license too in some states, and that costs money too. So super frustrating, but I had to renew my membership, and that was $30, which at least it's only $30 a year. And then some things are every 2 years, some things are every 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is. But like, it's also so hard to keep track of when everything's like a different amount of years. And then I mentioned this in a few of my recent videos, but I decided to enroll in a medical coding course, because that would allow me to work from home if I could find a job in coding, and I have a medical background, so I would definitely love to do that. But something snapped in me at work one day. Like, I truly am struggling like mentally and physically at my job, and I know that long term like I would not be very happy. So something happened one day, and I was like, you know what, I need to try and do something different, and I need to try and find something that's gonna make me happier. And if it's gonna be doing this course, then it's gonna be doing this course. So even though I'm in debt, and yes, like I could have used this money towards paying off my credit card faster, this is also something that is gonna help me in my career and in my future. So I was like, I need to do this because I'm just miserable right now. And when your mental health is low, it just affects you overall, and that could be also affecting me making financial decisions, and it could be holding me back from reaching my goals because I'm so low. And like, so I'm the kind of person who uses purchasing things to make myself feel better. So I don't know, like it's this big cycle, but I was like, I need to do something because I'm not very happy where I'm at right now. Long story short, I'm making payments to the course every month. So I only have to make one payment a month, but what I'm doing, again, like basically what I do for everything is split the payment between my 2 paychecks so that it doesn't seem as intense. But I don't know, it makes sense in my head, especially with the car payment, because it does make sense to split it. I saved $255 for the coding course payment. So then basically what I do is take a look at all of that, I'll add that up, and then figure out like how much I have left over, which this is then the deciding factor on what I can put towards my credit cards. Most of this other stuff is like necessary. I need to make those payments for these things because they're obligations. So then I'll take a look, see what I have left over, and then come up with like a good number to put towards my credit cards, and then a good number that'll leave me with for the next 2 weeks to like cover any expenses and like pay for gas. So based on these numbers, I found that a good number to put towards my credit card debt was $500, which is pretty decent. I feel good about that number. I'm happy with that. It stinks when you're like going through a debt payoff journey because that $500, like yeah, I would love to have that instead of putting it towards my debt. But then I just remember like, yeah, but I have the debt, so I need to pay it off. Like I'm the only person responsible for myself being in this situation. So I need to, one, like hold myself accountable. The quicker I can pay it off and handle it, the faster I'll be able to like move on, have that money to use for other things like investing or saving even more for our house. I'm in a good spot. As much as it's still like not the best situation, I'm in a good spot where it looks good for the rest of the year, basically. I try to keep telling myself that too, because sometimes like I get in the mindset of like, well, you know what, I'm already in $5,000 of credit card debt, like might as well like swipe the card, like it doesn't matter. Sometimes that does go through my head, like, oh, what's another $100 to buy a new outfit? When you really think about it, it's like that is a lot. Like that's a lot because it's gonna take me a good amount of time to pay this all off. And the more you keep adding to that debt, the harder it is, because like, okay, I made a $500 payment. If I then put on another $100, $200, like yes, I still technically am like going lower, but like one step forward, 2 steps back kind of situation. Like I try to just keep telling myself, like, again, to like stay positive, focus on like the real big end goal, and like really try not to make any unnecessary purchases, because I'm truly am like pretty close. If I can really stick to the plan, I'm really close and I could be done paying my credit cards off by December. I just try to keep telling myself like December's not that far away. You can do it. You can really hustle and grind for the next few months. Then you'll be done. You'll be good. Then you'll just have the car loan. That's that. With everything that I'm spending, going out, add all of that up, and that comes to about $1,914. I'll take that and subtract it from that number I mentioned in the beginning that I used to budget with, which was $2,351, and that leaves me with $436 for the next 2 weeks. And now, what I've been kind of doing recently is leaving this number like just a little bit higher, because what I had been noticing is that, like I said, if I leave this number too low and like God forbid something comes up, or like an extra expense that I wasn't really like thinking of, something for the cats, and then I end up having to use my credit card, I am sort of like backtracking. So what I do now is I want to leave this number a little bit higher and try not to spend all of it. And then, as I mentioned, like the rollover, I can make an extra payment right before the next payday, which is what I did this time. Even though I have $436, it's actually not really that, because I budget roughly like $160 to $180 for gas every 2 weeks, because again, I drive an hour to work every single day, and like each way, so I drive 2 hours every single day, and I end up getting gas quite frequently. So I like to keep that budget a little bit high so that I'm not thinking I have more money than I do, and then like for something necessary like filling up my car with gas to get to work, I'm not like, oh, I don't have any money left. you know what I mean? And then having to put that on my credit card. So if I budget $180 for gas, that leaves me with $256 for 2 weeks for anything that might come up. If I'm really, really strict, which I did such a good job last month with my budget that I feel like I'm on like I have a good energy about paying off my debt as quickly as I can right now. I haven't had the urge to like want to spend any money on anything unnecessary. So I feel like I could at least put an extra $100 towards my debt from this, and we'll see what happens. I don't see myself using a lot of this money for anything other than gas and maybe like couple snacks. We maybe will eat out once, and then I get a coffee every now and then, but I've been really limiting that as well. If I realize that like by the end of next Friday, right, that's like midway through the pay period, if I realize I still have $200 left, like I didn't spend that much this week, I'll throw an extra $50 towards my credit card and like leave myself with a lower budget for the next week. We'll see how that goes. It's very similar, obviously very consistent. A lot of these videos might be a little bit repetitive, and I am sorry, but I do find them interesting, and I think people also find them interesting, and I do enjoy sharing it, so I will continue to share them. I will say this little sneak peek for my next paycheck. I am getting my last sign-on bonus paycheck. So it is gonna be a little bit higher, so stay tuned for that because that's gonna be an exciting one. We're definitely gonna make some big progress towards the debt on that paycheck, so I'm really looking forward to that. I'll end this just by sharing a little bit about where I'm at in my debt payoff journey, because I am trying to be very honest about this at this point. I share the numbers and the nitty-gritty on my TikTok, so I might as well do it here, and that way it helps keep me accountable, and also if it's also fun to see my progress, I think, and especially for other people too who are watching and like are rooting for me to see my progress. So with the $500 payment that I made towards my credit card, my total credit card debt is sitting at $5,000. So yes, it is still very high, but we are moving in the right direction. So we're trying to stay positive and not dwell on anything. We made a big payment today, a good chunk. We're moving in the right direction. So then my car loan is now at, after the $200 payment I made today, it is at $15,154. So that one also is hard to, give exact numbers on that, because tomorrow it'll be like a few dollars higher because you gain interest on that daily. My total debt is at $20,154. So we're just over $20,000. We'll be under $20,000 next paycheck. So I'm very excited for that. Again, thank you guys so much for being here, following along on my journey and watching my videos, because that also helps. I do appreciate it. I really do. And I hope that you guys enjoy my videos and like me as a person, because I enjoy making these videos. Hopefully with social media as well, I can pay off my debt faster. I will be getting a payment from TikTok on the 15th, so I will be making an extra payment towards my credit card with that money. I'll include that in maybe my next paycheck video for you guys, because you'll see that the balance will probably have gone down quite a bit if I include that as well. Hopefully maybe motivate some of you guys as well if you're on a similar journey, or just be like a source of comfort for someone who is also on this journey. That is how I budget my paycheck, and I will see you guys very soon in my next video.